What's up, guys? Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1,
and we're back at it to do it again and again. And what we're doing is
for the greater war. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what
young man Steve.
Texas All-Star 6969. Ooh, you a freak. How does that work? Because it's 4 people 69ing. They all have to pleasure each other. Someone's
like
eating
cubed.
Ass. Oh. Ooh.
Oh.
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 Ah.
So I'm not sure where you at.
What if the Sauce Marines, they probably got auto-corrected to Sauce, but you meant Space Marines rebelled, not to chaos, but form their own empire. So what do the Space Marines have it in them to say, screw the Imperium of man, we're going to fight for ourselves, not the chaos, just for ourselves? The answer is yes. Because this has already happened.
Yeah, so it's happened a few times.
So it happened during the biggest thing is the Bad App Wars. Now, the Bad App Wars was a point in time in Imperial history where a sector was taken control of by the Astro Claws. Now, the Astro Claws was led by a chapter master who was chaotic, but that chapter master, along with like 6 or 7 different chapters, rebelled against the Imperium. Now, the Astro Claws were chaotic, but the other ones were not. So you're talking about the Mantis Warriors, you're talking about the what was the other one? Lamentors.
Yeah.
All those types of
chapters.
curse founding chapters that ended up rebelling and saying, no, you know, as Space Marine chapters, we were given certain amount of rights to govern ourselves, and if the Imperium, the ecclesiarchy, wants to step in and say we're changing those rules, then the Space Marines will rebel against the Imperium, because they see now that the Imperium is more about the ecclesiarchy and not so much about, you know, God or the God Emperor. Oh yeah, they don't believe that he was a god.
Just this regular emperor, Biggie.
So yeah, would they rebel? Yes. Will they rebel in the future to be like one huge mass thing? Probably not. But it'd be cool.
I mean, yeah. Actually, if you guys go watch our 40 Facts on Warhammer 50K, they actually do rebel and start fighting for themselves because of the loss of the Emperor. But again, check that out for more deets.
Yes, yes. Next question.
If this was by Steve Verdugo. If you guys were in the 40K universe, would you want to be part of the Imperium or Chaos?
I would want to be the Imperium because I could always switch over to Chaos, where I can't do that if it was the opposite.
Yeah, I'd stick with the Imperium because I feel like with Chaos, you're not 100% guaranteed that you won't be turned into like a spawn or used as like fodder or something like that. So
yeah. Yep. Next question comes from Glenn Kendrick. The question is, will this universe ever rise beyond to the level where motion picture level with this universe rise to the Lord?
So, are they getting a movie? This, I think, is what he's saying.
Okay, yeah. I think that's what he wants to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, because I think GW is really seeing that their, what is it called? Their IP is really, really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a Warhammer logo on it and you put in an Orc and a Space Marine fighting each other, I'll buy it. And that's really all they need to create, you know, a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, World of Warcraft kind of stepped into that realm. They put out a movie, and I think it did all. I mean, it wasn't, you know, the best movie ever.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, if you're a fan of World of Warcraft, I think you'd appreciate it.
GW really needs to like get on it, because now is the time to do that, especially with the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, DC Cinematic Universe, the Warcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the time for fantasy, sci-fi flicks to come out.
Right. It's a lot of the movies nowadays are pertaining to, quote, nerds, So maybe this is a good time.
Yeah.
Or at least put out like some shorts or something, like 5-minute clips of Space Marines going at it, something like that.
Yeah, and then also what's really cool is you can see this on YouTube. There's a lot of fan-made shorts, and what usually ends up happening is the guys who are creating those, they're either students or they're amateur, film buffs right now. A couple years, they're gonna be the ones going to like the studios and stuff and throwing their pitches or whatever for studios to actually pick these things up, and that's how things get made. That's probably what happened to the whole Marvel and DC stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, some YouTubers to go check out is the Lord Inquisitor. I haven't heard anything about it recently, but I mean it's a 40K film that is fan made, and there's also Hell's Reach, which is I think this dude literally like draws it out. It's pretty cool. Check it out.
Check it out. Next question.
This one is by Patrick Smith. I'm curious about attrition / replacements for Space Marines. It seems that they throw an incredible amount of time and resources to making Space Marines, such as gene seed, armor, weapons, that kind of thing. And then it kind of seems like there's only a sliver of them surviving. But every time there's a depiction of a Space Marine in battle, it seems like they have now a 50% chance of surviving. How are there that many Marines alive?
I mean, different chapters. Whenever the Imperium declares a new founding, a lot of Space Marines get created.
Right.
Is that answering the question? What was the question?
So basically he's saying there's a lot of time and effort put into creating a Space Marine, and it seems like they're dying too quickly based on their resources used. So how are there that many Space Marines alive today?
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
no, go ahead.
So yeah, Space Marines on the gameplay wise, they're all over the place. But at any given point in time in the lore, there's only like 1,000 chapters. So there's 1,000 Marines in each chapter. 1,000 times 1,000, boom, that gives you a solid number. But at the same time, you could have a chapter that's completely destroyed. You could have chapters that are lost in the warp that come out years later, stuff like that. So that number is always fluctuating. But yeah, I mean, they don't die as easy as they should if you're going based off of gameplay. So, for example, in the video game Space Marine, you have literally 3 Marines taking on a whole orc, wall basically, and they come out on top.
It ended up being that they weren't orcs though, right? At the end.
No, they were orcs.
Really, I thought it was chaos just pretending to be orcs.
Well, it's so basically they're fighting orcs, but that wasn't the real major thing. It turns out that there was a Inquisitor who was actually being chaotically influenced, and then he was using other, chaos demons to kind of push the orcs into one way to make it more difficult for the Imperial Guard and the Space Marines.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question though. Next question comes from Devon Hensley. How do orcs move in space?
Like this.
Yeah, basically. They have giant rocks. So they usually take meteors or asteroids, attach rockets to them, or they'll take a moon, attach a rocket to that moon, and just like travel throughout. Also getting onto space hulks, so catching onto old debris and creating ships. They could also create ships because it's just naturally in their genes to do so.
That's pretty crazy, because imagine all the freaking energy needed to propel a moon or an asteroid for that matter. Like, where do they come up with all this? They think it, so it happens, right?
Well, part of it, yeah. Most of it is their genetic makeup. Like, it is actual technology. Next question comes from Apache. Yeah, okay. What do you think the 40K universe will look like if it came out in the recent times? Let's just say the early 2000s instead of the 80s. You said 80th. So instead of Warhammer 40K being created back in the day, what if it was created now?
I feel like it wouldn't be well, because if you look back at like the Space Marines and how everything looked back in the day, it's kind of evolved.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah, because you had like super huge shoulder pads on your or shoulder pauldrons, whatever they're called on Space Marines.
It was influenced by fantasy a lot, which was influenced by like the heavy metal stuff. And all that kind of stuff.
The Tyranids, man.
Yeah, those changed a lot.
Yeah.
But if it came out today, I think it would look more like, what's that one?
Pathfinder?
No, not Pathfinder. What's the one that Mini Wargaming used to make bat raps on, and then they
Infinity.
stopped? Infinity. It would look like Infinity.
Yeah.
Futuristic, believable futuristic. Not skulls floating and
cherubs.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like the aesthetic of 40K when I first started playing, but I played it just because like I liked the orc models. But now I love the aesthetic of the grimdark and
the gothic feel and all that.
All that. Next question.
Kyle K. Who do you think would win in a battle between Gaskell, Mag Uruk Thraka, or Abaddon to the spoiler?
Thraka.
You got Abaddon, who's
failed 13 times.
And you got Thraka, who
never fails, never gives up, always is fighting, never surrender, throws his enemies back into the pool because he wants to catch them again. He a G. He ready. We the best.
We them boys.
Next question.
Edward Hathaway asks, do you think that GW will ever stop obsessing over Space Marines and Chaos enough to give some other factions some major focus? He goes on, but that's his main question.
No, because it's not GW being infatuated with these factions. It's us being infatuated with these factions. Yeah. We want to be in the game. That's why whenever people say like, oh, it doesn't matter like what the models look like or whatever. No, subconsciously it does. Like we want to be the guys with the gun shooting, and a Space Marine. You know, we can be Space Marines. We can't really be orcs. I mean, yeah, no, they're made out of fungus. Even though technically we're more related to fungus than we are to plants, but that's beside the point. What's the question?
Oh, why does GW not focus on other factions besides Space Marines and Chaos?
Buy more other factions and GW will take note.
Because obviously, number one seller is Space Marines.
Yep.
And they are telling the lore based off of the
perception of us.
There you go.
Yeah. We're really orange, aren't we? I feel like we're really orange.
It looks a little orange. Maui, baby.
Did that fix it a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
There.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay. This one's by Will Livesey, something like that. Is there any law on Tyranid high fleets between fighting amongst each other? I know they would if two fleets run into each other. I don't think there's laws between the Tyranids.
No. It's just like natural, like an animal if an animal enters into another animal's territory, it's gonna,
fight.
Yeah, because it's gonna eat its resources, so they're gonna fight.
Yeah, so like if you have a puma and a panther, that's the same thing, ain't it? No.
A puma and a panther? How about a mountain lion?
And a cougar.
And a cougar.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, if they enter into each other's paths, then they're gonna fight because it's like, it's my territory. Unless they're mating, or unless they're cool with each other, like some lions are cool with, so they'll have a pride. It'll be a pride with two lions. So it could be a Tyranid high fleet with two high fleet.
Very prideful.
Yeah. Either way, next question comes from Daria Stepka. Trying pierogi. What's a pierogi? That's a food, right?
Yeah. I want to say it's like...
We talked about it last night.
Pierogies.
I want to say it's something that has to do with spices, friedness. Could be wrong.
I was thinking along the lines of like a hot dog or like a gyro, or how do you say gyro? Hero?
Gyro. Question is, have we tried it? I think no, never have. Pierogi. Or maybe I have. I don't know. Sounds familiar.
I'm looking it up.
All right.
Pierogies. Ah, they're like Polish dumplings.
Ah, that's why I know. My sister went to Poland. She lived in Poland for a while, and she talks about pierogies. No, I haven't had one, but we'll probably have some for Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow.
Ooh.
Merry Thanksgiving to you guys.
Let us know what you're gonna eat, what you're thankful for.
And if you're not from America, sorry.
Yeah. Is that really? It's only an American thing?
Well, I mean, Canadians do it, but you know, Canadians. And Mexicans don't do it.
Yeah, because it's food.
Yeah. They don't have any.
Last question?
Yeah, last question.
Stop players. I'm thinking about starting a Tau army, but I already have a Space Marine Salamander army. Is it possible, lore-wise and gameplay-wise, for these two armies to be allies? Love your videos. They cheer me up every single day. Love from Finland.
Damn, all the way from Finland.
That's legit.
What was the question?
So he's got Space Marines, Salamanders, and he wants to start a Tau army. Is this feasible lore-wise?
Yes. The reason that is because Salamanders are unique in that they are very friendly towards humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a story for your fluff. Turns out that the Imperium didn't ally themselves fully to the Tau Empire, and the Tau Empire is okay with working with the Imperium of that sector, because hopefully in the future, you know, political negotiation can occur or whatever. And then the Space Marines, the Salamanders, even though they understand that you should fear the Xenos and you should kill the Xenos, they also understand that they're out of luck. There's way too many enemies around them. If they were to fight the Tau, they would just completely die out. And, you know, Salamanders, they love, you know, being the last of their kind or whatever. So odds are that the Salamanders that you do have are part of a very, very small remnant of a company or something. So now they are working with the Tau, or fighting alongside the Tau, to fight the enemies that are coming because the Imperium can't afford to send in reinforcement. Does that sound good?
Yeah, more like kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go.
Why fight the Tau when they can work together and kill the greater threat?
Yeah, and kill them later.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that? Because you're a Tau player.
No. I mean, Salamanders are pretty laid back. They're OGs, so they could go in there with Flamer and Hammer, while the Tau sit back behind some rocks and snipe.
Yep. And blue skin and black skin, you know.
They're gonna make their enemies black and blue.
And those were the questions for today.
That's right. Send us some more questions down in the comments below. We'll get to them 3 times a week, so stay tuned for that.
That's it.
That's it.
This is Gersh1.
Silent Alchemist, and we are out of here.